back in session and we are ready for our next case. That's Mr. Dillard. Good morning, Mr. Dillard. Mr. Dillard, would you introduce yourself? Tell us your name and your DOC number, please.
Billy Ray Dillard, 87044.
All right, and I see you are represented by counsel. Would you introduce yourself?
Good morning, Ms. Renats. Robert Lancaster, representing Billy Dillard with the LSU Parole and Reentry Clinic. With me today is Ben MacArthur. He's a second-year law student. He's been working with Mr. Dillard in preparing for the hearing. He prepared the packet and material before you today. He's not certified under Louisiana Supreme Court Rule 20, but if the board permits, he is prepared to give a statement of support at the end of this hearing.
Thank you very much. Mr. Dillard, I will read some identifying information into the record, and then I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Freeman, seated to my far right. Your case has been assigned to him. He'll take the lead on the interview question. Let me acknowledge that we do have folks here in support today. We have the Parole Project, Mr. Kerry Myers, who wants to speak on your behalf. We also have your brother, Eddie Jones, who will be speaking on your behalf as well. So you are Billy Ray Dillard. Your DOC number is 87044. You're here seeking commutation of your sentence. You were sentenced in East Carroll Parish for a first-degree murder conviction. Original sentencing was in February 1971. You received a death sentence. Then you were resentenced in April 1983 to life. Mr. Dillard, is that information correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, would you answer Mr. Freeman's question?
Okay, Mr. Dillard, how old are you?
71,
Okay, and how many years have you been incarcerated?
about 43,
43?
53. I'm not mistake.
Yeah,
53.
Okay.
That's my mistake. 53.
Okay, and as Ms. Renata stated, that you went from a death penalty to a life penalty. What's your educational level?
8th grade.
Okay, have you ever tried to get your GED since you've been in there?
I started to, but I couldn't get no help through the preachers. Let me see. Through the teacher.
Teacher, okay. Have you ever enrolled? You said you couldn't get help from the teacher. Did you enroll in the class?
I had class, but you still, when I asked him for something, help me out with something, he wouldn't do it.
Warren Falco, has he ever been enrolled in GED program? Can you see in the record?
It looks at in July of 14, they had tested him on tape. His scores were rather low. Anywhere.
I just want to know if he was enrolled. If he,
yeah, he was, yes, sir.
Thank you, Warren Falco. Okay. Tell us a little bit about what happened. What did you do to get yourself in prison?
Well, I was broke in a person's house, then attacked my house, and I plan on robbing her, and she pulled a gun on me, and I took the gun and I shot her.
Okay, what else happened in that house? How did you try to dispose of the body? What did you do?
No, I panicked and I went out the house, I left the house.
So you didn't dismember or try to burn the body?
Nope.
So how did she get set on fire?
And,
You don't know.
the heaters that she had hooked up, That would start the fire.
All right, at first you said you witnessed it didn't commit it, so you're now saying you did commit this murder.
Yeah.
Okay, you've had 3 prior clemencies, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and none of them have been approved. In law enforcement, you have opposition from the DA, the chief. The sheriff is unopposed. Your brother's unopposed, your sister is unopposed. And your niece, Miss Gold, is unopposed. No, that's the victim, they are opposed. And Susan Tatum is opposed. And the nephew is strongly opposed, Mr. Douglas Tatum. So you do have opposition to this, and you, like I said, the sheriff said he was unopposed. What else have you been convicted of? I see you're a second felony offender. What was your other conviction for?
National purse. National purse.
You stole a purse snatching?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, classes, what classes have you taken?
I haven't taken any.
Issue.
Which one?
Thinking for a change, did you?
Looking for a change, right?
What did that teach?
On the hour.
What did thinking for a change teach, Mr. Dillard? What did thinking for a change teach
Mr.
you?
Freeman, while they're looking over here, he's also enrolled in anger management right
All right, right now, yes, thank you, Warden.
now. Yes.
So, Mr. Dillard, what did thinking for a change teach you?
Thank for a change.
What did it teach? What did you learn in that course?
Had me, teach me to stop and think why, decided what I want to do.
Just talk to them. Talk to them.
Thank for a change. I stopped thinking, before I do anything to anybody.
Okay, were you a tier walker? I see you took tier walker training.
Yes, sir.
Okay. What is your medical history? You have any problems right now?
I'm all right.
Okay, so you have no medical conditions right now?
Mr. Freeman, if I may,
Yes, sir.
I'm reading from the hospital administrator here. Mr. Dillard's a 71-year-old male with a past medical history of high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and is a pre-diabetic, suffering from cataracts as well as glaucoma. He is seen routinely by primary care and is being followed up by ophthalmology. He currently has a no duty status, and he seldomly makes sick call, but he is being followed for those medical conditions currently.
Okay, thank you. You have a low risk. Your custody is minimum. You have a fair institutional record, which you have 12 write-ups, which your last was over 10 years ago in 2012. Where are you going to live if you get out?
Las Vegas, my brother. At least.
Okay, like going to the parole project?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I have no further questions.
Mr. Rachel?
Yes.
Questions?
Good morning, Mr. Dillard. How are you?
All right.
Good. Mr. Dillard, give me a second. Tell this panel exactly what happened the day that you broke into Miss Tatum's home.
Mr. Dillard, tell him what happened when you broke into Miss Tatum's home.
I broke in Miss Tavern home. Well, I grabbed her, but she had pulled a gun on me, and I shot her.
Okay. Now, I have the police report right in front of me, Mr. Dillard. Tell me exactly what happened.
Well, like I said, I broke in the house, and she pulled a gun on her, I grabbed the gun and shot her.
I'm gonna read you a little bit from the police report, okay?
All right,
Before dawn on Sunday, May 17, 1970, Miss Ann Tatum, an elderly lady residing in Lake Providence, was beaten, dragged across the street, raped, abused in an isolated area behind a garage or warehouse. Then she was dragged back into her home. She was mutilated and placed on the bed.
no, sir. Nothing like that. True facts, nothing like that, sir.
Okay, so I'm just reading this from the original police report. And you said that didn't happen.
No, sir.
First, there were witnesses saying that they heard her call for help. And she was beaten, dragged, raped, and mutilated. And none of this ever happened.
None of that happened, sir.
Thank you, sir.
That's only true.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
All right, I don't see any other questions, so let's hear from the folks who are here in support, and that would be Mr. Myers with the Parole Project.
Yes, good morning. Kerry Myers was Louisiana Parole Project. Mr. Dillard was 18 years old at the time of his crime. And, you know, in the 53 years he's actually would be considered a 10-6 lifer, not eligible under Act 544 because he did not plead guilty. He went to trial. But he does fall into that class. He's been a Class A trustee for more than 30 years. He's worked his way into a position after coming to Angola at a time when it was a much different place than it is now, where programming, where the ability to go to school, to do a lot of the things that you see today just didn't exist. So what he did is he did what a lot of people at that time did. He made himself valuable. He made himself valuable as a worker. He made himself valuable as someone who could be trusted. And that's exactly what he did. And up until just recently, until he received that no duty, he was still a very valuable asset to the institution. His disciplinary record is excellent. Someone who's been there 53 years. Parole Project is prepared to provide him transitional support. His long-term plan is to live with his brother in Las Vegas. This is a very stable situation. The family is looking forward to having him. Parole Project will, while he's with Parole Project, will make sure that he has all the transitional tools that he needs before he makes that next step. And we would just ask that Mr. Dillard be granted today.
Thank you. We also have Mr. Eddie Jones, Mr. Dillard's brother. While they are trying to see if Mr. Jones is connected, Warden Falvey, is there anything else you can add for us?
Yes, ma'am. You know, he did work. He's worked from going back as far as May of, it even goes further back than that, and probably about between 2008 and 2000. 11, he worked as a TR leader on death row for us. After that, drove a tractor for us. So he did that up until somewhere between 18 and 19, when his eyesight got to the point to where he was not able to drive anymore safely. So he has done a good job for us here as far as his work that he's provided.
All right, thank you. Trying to reach Mr. Jones now. And I guess, Mr. Dillard, Mr. Steady is your brother that you would be living with?
Yes, ma'am.
We're gonna try to reach him. Yeah, he's, we have him on the phone, so we're gonna just do it by phone. We'll turn it on speaker so you can hear. Good morning, Mr. Jones.
Good morning. How are you, ma'am?
Good, sir. We are here with your brother Billy Dillard, and we'd like to hear your input into his application for clemency.
Well, what I am is, yeah, I have my own home. I have a good friend here that willing to give him some work off in order to take on study. And otherwise, other than that, here on my home, but you ain't got to worry about it. I can get it through or whatever, you know, what I'm trying to say. If I'm gonna get where he got to make stick on my own.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I'm glad we were able to reach you by phone. Thanks for your input. All right. Mr. Dillard, before I turn it over to Mr. MacArthur, is there a statement you'd like to make to the board?
Well, I made a big change, you know. The way I live.
Okay. All right, Mr. MacArthur.
Thank you, members of the board. Mr. Billy Dillard, he grew up in an unstable environment. He moved often around towns in Northeast Louisiana. He dropped out of school in the 8th grade, and after that, he had to do work doing manual labor to earn a little money to help his family. Mr. Dillard had to grow up very fast with little oversight or support. That doesn't excuse anything that he did, but it can help to explain it. Mr. Dillard was incarcerated at the Louisiana State Penitentiary when he was 19 years old. And after years on death row, he was released into the general population. He began working, and eventually he was given work positions with some responsibility and some autonomy. And for the first time, he had some real structure in his life. He showed that he could be reliable, he could be hardworking and trustworthy. Over time, with that structure in place, he applied himself to work, to programming, and along with his faith and the Church of Christ community here at State Penitentiary, Mr. Dillard was able to change within. Today, he's not the same person as he was 51 years ago. He's learned to think before he acts. He stays away from conflict. And until his eyesight became poor, he continued to work and participate in programs. If he's granted clemency, Mr. Dillard will move into another environment that gives him the same structure for success. He'll initially stay with a parole project. He'll be set up with Medicaid and treatment for his eyes. He'll be set up with supplemental security income and a phone and all necessary reentry programming. And after that, he'll move in with his brother, Mr. Jones, in Las Vegas, Nevada. Mr. Jones is a retired auto mechanic. He's lives in a nice home, beautiful home in a nice, vibrant neighborhood. And along with that, Mr. Dillard will have the support of his brother and his brother's family and friends. Mr. Dillard has demonstrated that with structure in place, he can be and will be successful, and that he poses no further danger to society. And Mr. Dillard prays for a recommendation for clemency. Thank you, members of the board.
Sorry, thank you. I think we are prepared to vote, and Mr. Freeman will be voting first.
Okay, Mr. Dillard, needless to say, I don't think you were quite honest about these events, but they were 53 years ago. And it's our job to look at where you are now and what kind of threat you would propose for society. And due to the warden's comments and the length of time served, I vote to grant your computation of sentence and commute your sentence to 75 years with immediate parole eligibility.
Thank you, Mr. Roche.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Based upon your age and length of incarceration, I go to community sentence 99 years with immediate parole after.
Mr. Randall.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Mr. Dillard, I've listened to you extensively. You're 71 years old. You've been in prison for 52 and a half years. Excellent comments by the warden. You've got a good transition plan, low risk. I agree with Mr. Freeman. My vote would be to recommend to the governor that he commute your sentence to 75 years with immediate parole. Good luck to you.
And Mr. Dillard, I do also concur with my colleagues. My vote today is the same, to commute your sentence to 75 years with a recommendation for immediate parole eligibility. So that is the recommendation we'll make on your behalf, sir. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.